Hey, it's Will Friedle.
And Sabrina Bryan.
And we're the hosts of the new podcast, Magical Rewind.
You may know us from some of your favorite childhood TV movies like My Date with the President's Daughter
and the Cheetah Girls movies.
Together, we're sitting down to watch all the movies you grew up with and chat with some of your favorite stars and crew that made these iconic movies happen.
So kick back, grab your popcorn, and join us. Listen to Magical Rewind on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You slept through your alarm, missed the train, and your breakfast sandwich, cold. Sounds like you could use some luck.
I'm Victoria Cash, and Lucky Land is where people go every day to get lucky. At Lucky Land, you can play over 100 casino-style games for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Go to LuckyLandSlots.com and get lucky today. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Can you just talk a little bit about the new tweak made to the IR rule and how that maybe, helps you or hurts you in putting together the final roster?
Yeah, those, we have certainly discussions about that, particularly with all the injured players that we had the last couple of days. We'll wait to get those results back from some of the MRIs this morning, late this morning, I'd say early afternoon, and go about, make our decisions, what we think we need to do, how we need to do it. There's a lot of discussions that take place this time of year. Some of it is that, and then obviously the roster, which I can give you. We've made 10 cuts this morning if you would like them.
Yes.
Patty. Okay. So Kyler Baugh, defensive tackle. Breon Borders, corner. Christian Holmes, corner. Clayton Isbell, safety. John Giles, receiver. Joshua Kelly, running back. Trey Kaiser, linebacker. Lorenzo Lingard, running back. Marcus McKeithen, offensive line. And Ayer Asante, receiver. That's what we did this morning. Obviously, there are more to come, but we're not at that point. We're still discussing a lot of things, but those were 10 players that we moved on from. Thank them for their contributions and wish them well.
Okay, then if I could real quick, do you look at statistics league-wide regarding injuries? And specifically, last year I think I saw a stat that 20% or near 20% of the starting quarterbacks last year were injured. And I'm just wondering if you look at that data in determining, how many to keep at a particular position.
Yeah, we look at everything. So Joe is down with the doctors and trainers as we speak. I'm doing this. But yeah, certainly there's a lot of discussions. We look at a lot of different things, statistics, but ultimately, whatever we think is best for our team, that's what we're going to do.
Thank you very much.
You got it. You're welcome.
Please raise your hand if you have a question. Paul Schwartz.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Morning, Paul.
Good morning. Afternoon, but okay. I'm sure you've been up quite a while. First of all, do you have any updates? You mentioned some MRIs. Do you have any updates on any of the guys from yesterday?
The only one I got right before I came in is Timmy Horn did. He tore his Achilles. I'll go see what the rest of the information gave us this morning off the MRIs or the things the doctors looked at. That's the one I have for you now. I do know that guys like Runyon and Flott and Drew Phillips, Coughlin, expect those guys to be back. Doing more than they did last week, or in Runyon's case, doing something with the guys that were out. So, but the guys from last night that are more fresh don't have the information yet on those guys.
Okay. One more. You mentioned yesterday you had some pretty detailed numbers about how many team reps, increased from the years past. First of all, how did you come to that determination? When you sat down after this year and getting ready for this year, we need to do more of that. And was that anything you took from any of your coaching stops in the past, or was that just something the way the league is now? You felt you needed to do that?
No, again, I've been doing this for quite some time in a lot of different places. Every year is a different year. Aaron Wellman came in, and we sit down, the sports science staff, the training staff, the strength staff, and I'll lay out, this is kind of what I want to try to get accomplished, and we talk about how to do it, and there's a lot of discussion going on. But I thought, as we spoke about, some of those reps we talked about were in OTAs from one year to the next. We didn't do any team, which I thought was important to do that. And then, really specifically designed for DJ to give him more team reps and less 7-on-7, like we've talked about, to handle pressures and rush lanes and stepping up in the pocket. Thought that was important. We did more 9-on-7 than we did the year before. We did, like I said, a bunch more padded plays, over 140, I think it was. So it was something that was a point of emphasis that, I thought we needed, the coaches thought we needed, and we just tried to do what we thought was best.
And do you, is any of this at all to try to get off to a better start, to be more ready for a real game quicker? Because last year, obviously, the team struggled early.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at what you did the year before, where it was whatever the start was, fast start versus, again, the most important thing is playing well and coaching well. You try to do, make adjustments each year. We've talked about that every year and do what you think is right for the team. But yeah, certainly you have an eye on the start of the season. But again, the fundamentals and things like that, again, the year we started when we first got here was different than the second year. This year is different than the third year. So the biggest thing is, playing well, coaching well, doing everything you can do, leaving no stone unturned to try to get off to the best start you can. You're welcome.
Hey, Dabes, can you hear me?
Got you, Kim. How are you?
Okay, thank you. Do you have to make a move in some kind of a move in case Locke isn't ready, or would you just go Daniel Tommy as your initial depth chart there?
Yeah, I think that's the other person that they mentioned to me. I think Drew will do more. I think Drew will be okay. Again, I can't predict it, but he's moving in the right direction.
Oh, did this last a little longer than you initially thought, or
no? He actually
his off days or the in-season stuff.
Yeah, no, he actually wanted to do some stuff last week to see how it felt, and he really pushed the envelope to be out there. He's a tough young man, and then we backed off of it based on how he felt, but I think he's feeling better. So we'll see where we're at this week. This will be, I talked about this yesterday. This is still a training camp week for us coming up these next few days. And it'll be a good evaluation to see where he's at.
I was still connecting at the very beginning, so I apologize.
That's okay.
If you revisited Neil and John Michael again.
Yeah.
Just the day after.
Sure.
Where are you with them, and any regrets you had them in the game at all?
No, not at all. So I'm going to get the information right after our team meeting from the MRIs and the doctors and the trainers. See where those guys are at. I saw John Michael right before I came in here. He was in the meal room. He's in good spirits. Don't want you to give you information that I don't. I want to make sure it's right from what I get from the doctors and the trainers. But he's walking around fine.
Is Evan?
I haven't seen Evan. So until I talk to the trainers and doctors and get their the MRI results, what those are. You got it.
Hey, Dabes.
Good morning, Art.
Good morning. When this time of year for you, I mean, I know you're kind of in the middle. You've got Joe working with the personnel staff, and you're with the coaches trying to get everything ready, and then you kind of have this pseudo bye week. It's still in training camp mode. How much, for your perspective, can too much thought, too much planning kind of get in the way of what you want to get ready for the start of the season? Do you find yourself trying to separate and compartmentalize because it just can get too much too soon?
That's a really good question. You know, when you're getting ready to play the start of the season, I think the most important thing is to get your team ready. Early on in the season, you don't really know what other team. You can go back and study them all you want and get tendencies and things like that and look at preseason games, which some of our younger coaches have been doing that and breaking down tape and doing all those things. We've really been focused on our team and our fundamentals and the things that we can do to improve, you know, for us. If you start too early on a team, which we don't do with the players, I think it can get stale. You know, it's like when you're going to a Super Bowl and you have 2 weeks to prepare, like how much you give the players versus not the players. You want to keep it fresh. You want to keep them locked in so it doesn't get dull later in the week. So we're really going to focus on us. And, you know, there's certainly things from training camp, from the start of training camp to now that, you know, I'd say the defense needs to, you know, correct some things, the offense, the special teams. So, you know, we'll compete against one another. We'll also do some carded things on, you know, plays we think or situations that we think each side needs. But, you know, the young coaches are the coaches that break down the opponents that we're facing early in the year. You do some of that work out in the offseason against the teams you're playing early on in the year, at least we do, so you can get a baseline. And then once I'd say this time of year starts to hit after these cuts, and you have, look, it's 2 weeks, you know, 2 weeks time we'll be playing right now. We've done some work. We'll continue to do work as a coaching staff, but, you know, the focus for the players will be, you know, the things we need to fix throughout training camp. And, you know, we'll get into Minnesota soon enough, but, you know, not these next couple of days.
We'll take two more, Jordan Renaud and then Tom Brock.
Hey, Daves. Good evening. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm curious. In the past, you've only taken two quarterbacks on the roster. I know we've kind of talked about this before. I'm curious. In the past, I know Davis Webb was one of those decisions. What was your thought process when you did go in that direction? Like, philosophically, is that something you believe in?
Well, I think it's dependent upon the team and dependent upon the player. I mean, there was times when I first started where we kept four quarterbacks. Brady being one of the fourth quarterback way back in the day. So again,
it wasn't necessarily your final decision, though, right?
No, but I'm just talking about experiences help everybody. I've been part of a lot of teams. Some keep two, some keep three, some keep four. Again, you take a look at the individual player. You see the strides that player have made. You think if they've made the right strides, or you think they can help you, then you decide to keep a player. If you need to make a move for the roster and have to put them on a practice squad, you put them on a practice squad. So those are all discussions that we're having at this time. But again, if you're referring to Tommy, I have confidence in Tommy.
So are you saying that you're likely to keep three quarterbacks on the roster?
No, I'm saying I have confidence in Tommy. So we'll talk about those decisions.
Three quarterbacks on the roster, then.
What's that?
How likely are you to keep three quarterbacks on the roster, then?
Yeah, that's we have a lot of discussions that are going to take place. We've had them all morning. We've met with players that we've released. We're going to have them tonight. We'll have them tomorrow on the players' day off, and by the time Tuesday comes around, we'll have our decision of what we're going to do.
Just real quick, Brian, on that same topic of the quarterbacks, do you come to a decision on how many quarterbacks we want and then work from there to get to your 53, or do you build your 53 and say, if we could find the luxury to keep this third quarterback, we'll do that? Yeah,
Tom, I would say there's a ton of different conversations that happen, not just with the quarterback, but with every position. So we'll try to do what we think is best with the 53, and then that 53 is ever evolving. Those change too. So we'll do, what we'll do. We'll sit down with the coordinators. Joe and I will sit down with the personnel staff. We've done a lot of that this morning. We've made the decision to move on from 10 players, and there's still quite a bit more that we have to to discuss and make sure that again the 53 that we keep are the right 53.
And then you mentioned Aaron Wellman earlier. How did he come out of the game last night? He took a lump.
I saw that this morning. LY showed it to me, and that was a pretty big hit. So one, he's tough. He got right back up, and two, I mean that's the clip that she showed me, he's not a big smile guy. He's pretty serious. So I think that's the biggest smile I've ever seen him have since I've met him.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
State Farm and DJ Dramos from Life as a Gringo know making smarter financial moves today secures your financial freedom for a successful tomorrow.
Tackle these situations in stride and yeah, of course, be annoyed when an unplanned expense comes up, but not let it be something that slows me down, right? As I did with repairing my credit, hiring somebody to do credit repair for me. That was a gift that I gave myself that allowed me to then, get my first apartment.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. State Farm, proud sponsor of My Cultura Podcast Network.